This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
You are listening to the Frank Skinner Show. I'm not Frank Skinner. I'm not Weir of the Year 1998. He shared that title with Carol Smiley, by the way.
Wow.
Not something...
One cheek each.
That was Gareth Richards, who is here with me this morning. I'm also with our resident Cockerel.
Morning.
Hi, Cockerel. I can't find the jingles. I haven't familiarised myself with them. Shall we give you
Don't
something
worry.
else instead?
Something to work towards. Hear ye.
I should explain, I'm really sorry. All right, mate.
a lot,
Okay.
So just carry on forever, that.
Frank's not here today, which I do apologise for. He's doing... What is he doing exactly? Does anyone know? I think he's visiting Anglo-Saxon museums. No, he's working very hard. But we will be here all morning. You can text the show on 81215. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram, @Frank on the Radio. Or you can email the show, if you're from oldie Victorian era, via the Absolute Radio website.
I like it when people email the show.
Do you?
I don't think we should mock them. Not
Okay.
least because I spend much of Saturday morning reading out the emails that we've received on Friday evenings in my Friday night trawl.
Now, I don't necessarily say Victorian in the pejorative sense.
Oh, good.
There's nothing I like more than a Victorian. Some of my best ex-boyfriends have been. Do you know what I was about to say to you both? You know how you come out with a cliché?
Yeah.
I'm saying that in honour of Frank and his strange pronunciation.
Right.
I was going to say you're a sight for sore eyes.
Oh.
And then I thought, and forgive me if we've discussed this before on the show, I always lose track. We've done so many, dear. Is it a compliment, that?
No.
Well, this is what I'm not sure, because
I'll snip that in the bud.
does it mean your appearance is so hideous it's made my eyes sore
I think so.
as a result of looking at you, or does it mean your appearance is so marvellous my eyes feel slightly less sore as a result of looking at you?
You look so good, you're a remedy for my eye ache.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Al.
I don't think it's that.
I never thought you'd say it.
No. And
I always suspected it.
I mean, you do, but I am not... I'm not sure that that's the common parlance of that phrase, as
See,
it were.
Gareth, do you think it's complimentary or negative?
I-
By the way, text in on 81215 if you have any views on... If someone said to you, blimey... Are we allowed to say blimey?
Yeah, I think blimey's okay.
blimey means God blind me, doesn't it?
Does it?
That's where it comes from, so it's apt for this discussion.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't want to go down a religious cul-de-sac. But does... If someone came in and said to you, wow... I suppose it's tone, isn't it? If someone said, you're a sight for sore eyes, compliment. If someone said, you're a sight for sore eyes... Negative.
I think it's supposed to be a compliment, but I don't think medically.
No,
you've
I-
got sore eyes. Look at something nice. That'll sort you right
believe-
I
out.
don't think it stands up to the
No, I don't
scrutiny
think
of
so.
science.
I don't think if they did a proper study.
When I read I think that saying is originally, it might be someone like Jonathan Swift or one of that lot.
Oh, yeah.
And my issue with it is I don't think they were exactly sort of Chandler when it came to the irony and sarcasm.
No.
So I don't think he was saying, you're a sight for sore eyes. Anyway, I'd be interested to know your views on that. Do text us in.
I still think it's about, people looking bad. If somebody said it to me, whatever their tone, I'd think, oh, perhaps I should spruce up a little bit.
Yeah, but if somebody said anything to you, you'd think that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I do need to spruce up a little bit.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
You actually
Nailed
look
it.
great this morning.
Thanks very much.
So do you, Gareth.
Thank you.
But it's what inside that counts, apparently. So I want to talk to you both about my internal wiring. It's complicated.
Okay, should we play a long song? Or...
It's what's inside that counts.
It turns out my internal wiring is very shoddy.
Oh, gosh. Did the mechanic tell you this?
You'll find out shortly.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So I was talking about...
Your internal wiring.
I was. And we do have a text in running right now, which is not the one I anticipated, but never mind. It is the expression, you're a sight for sore eyes,
Oh, yeah.
would you take that as a compliment? And if so, why? Sorry, Alan. Over to our Sight for Sore Eyes correspondent, Alan Cochrane.
771 has said, sight for sore eyes is a compliment. It means you are a nice sight for eyes that have seen a lot of bad.
I like the idea of having
A lot of
eyes. If my Twitter biography, I might rewrite that to say eyes that have seen a lot of bad. Sounds like a Martin Amis novel. My eyes have seen... It's a shanty. My eyes have
It's
seen a lot of
Ancient Mariner
bad.
moment.
Yes. Anyway, meanwhile, over in my wiring...
Oh, yes.
Now, I don't want to offend anyone. Oh, actually, I don't care, which is good. Alan, you strike me as a pragmatic type. You strike me as quite... I can already see the sad eyes. Gareth's sad eyes. No, but if I needed to sort my wiring out, I'd probably ring Alan first.
It'd be a mistake, but anyway, people often think I'm going to be capable at DIY and I'm a disaster.
Gareth?
Also, no one even asks me. People know.
People know. So, I've been having some very curious electrical occurrings recently. I've had flickering lights.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was just flashbacks to my...
Standing up too quickly.
No, I just was having memories back to my childhood in 1860 with the flickering lights, but also there have been fuses tripping, there's been all sorts. I woke up the other day and I have to say it was one of the worst things I've ever woken up to. And that's saying something, let me tell you. The doorbell was ringing constantly.
Wow.
I mean, constantly.
More than usual.
Permanently. It wouldn't go off.
right.
Like somebody's got their finger on it, like
You've got it in 1 hour.
like an enforcer or something. Did you think that the bailiffs were round? That's what I would have worried about.
That's what it sounded like. It was like in a police procedural drama when they... Because people only ever do it in those. Mm-hmm. At the same time, my burglar alarm was going off.
That's your burglar alarm. Okay.
Well, it's an approximation
Yeah,
of
yeah.
one. It's
No,
sort of
you're right.
if your burglar alarm sounded a bit like Fats Domino,
Uh-huh.
and the lights are flicking on and off. Can you imagine? That's quite a scary... It was like being in a
Yes,
Big Brother
yeah.
house when they've got a horrible task. And I didn't really know whether to call the emergency electrician or a priest.
Yeah.
I mean...
Poltergeist.
What's going on? In the end, I called an electrician who came out, and he was the world's worst electrician. Possibly person.
Does he listen?
Let's hope so. I'm going to start by saying I was a bit sus when I looked down and he was wearing frayed tracksuit bottoms. I didn't
That's
even
weird.
know a tracksuit could fray in that
No.
way. I thought that was more a castaway look.
Yeah,
I don't
seen,
like that.
they've seen some real wear, haven't they? They've seen some bad, those tracksuit bottoms. A lot of bad.
So was it like Fred at the like a Robinson Crusoe vibe? That's really weird.
If Robinson Crusoe spent a lot of time in Sports Direct,
But you'd have to... I mean, I can't understand how anybody would cause that much friction at that part of the trouser. Like, did they start life with an elasticated cuff? That's what I want to know.
I don't want to investigate why they got frayed. Although, don't you like that my burglar alarm was going off, my doorbell was ringing permanently, my lights were flicking on and off. What was my priority? The hem of his tracksuits. Thank you.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were talking... Well, shall I finish telling you about my electrics?
Yes.
Please.
Okay.
So the house was going haywire, like you'd had a poltergeist.
Exactly.
I have a question, actually, before
Right.
we continue.
Sure. Question.
Are all of these things that are going weird, are they all interconnected on like an app? Have you got some kind of app that tells you that...
Do you know, I love it when he gets technical. Talk electrics to me, Al.
I mean, I don't like the idea of those apps, but I know that other people like things in their life that are technological.
No, I don't have one of those.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit 70s, my setup.
I've got an app.
And the electrics. You've got an app?
I've got an app. I don't. Yeah, I mean, you don't use it as much as you think you would.
No.
It's a great idea.
Well, I
I've got
don't
my
think I
heating
would,
on an app.
so-
I've got a heating on an app and 2 light bulbs.
Oh.
I feel you're not hitting on women in the pub. Guess what, girls?
Bragging.
I don't want to boast, but I've got my heating on an app and 2 light bulbs. So, how you doing?
Let's go home with Mr. Big Shot over here.
I can dim the light in the boys' room and the dining room light at a touch of a phone.
Right.
Sorry. You genuinely did sound so proud.
Yeah.
So, I was actually looking for... do you want to say that again, please?
I can dim the light.
She's all you'd ever want. She's the kind I'd like to flaunt and take to dinner.
You have to talk over it like you're chatting them up.
That's the new thing. I mean, I bet. I mean, it doesn't happen in our house, but if you had a lady back, you could dim the lights on your phone app.
Yeah.
Okay, you should write like a
That's slimy,
seduction
isn't it?
guide or something.
Yeah.
Chapter 1, you could dim the lights on your phone app.
But they'd go off and you go, oh, hold on a minute. Sorry, what? Oh, no, now I'm in different one.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the end of this tale?
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got the character with the Flintstonian frayed tracksuit
The electrician arrives and he's got frayed jogging bottoms.
and a baseball
Surely
cap.
he should be wearing some of those reinforced knee-type workman trousers, because they kneel a lot, electricians.
But
If you work for Emily, you need reinforced knees because she insists you bow down to her.
Yeah, you're not allowed to walk in her property.
how dare you tell the truth? He had a baseball cap at a slight angle.
Jaunty.
It was a bit jaunty for my liking.
2 sacking offences in one outfit.
Okay, he wasn't carrying any equipment, Alan.
Oh, there is a bit of me that quite likes that.
Oh, why?
I once booked a tiler to do some tiling in my kitchen purely because he didn't bring a tape measure, and he looked at it and he went, I think it's about 1 metre by 3, and he just guessed it. I thought, you're probably really good at this job. He did tell me that as well.
Although, come on, if you've got to turn off a burglar alarm
Excuse me.
and the bell and the still with the flickering lights, what, are you going to use, a credit card? I mean, I know they use that to open the doors in the films, but you need something.
A crucifix, at least.
Hasn't your flat got like a giant plug
Duplex,
thing?
please,
Like
it's not a flat.
Like a big off switch.
What, like in the Flintstones? Yeah. Yes, there's a big pterodactyl, and you just pull the tongue out.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, what a way to make a living.
Oh, that's what I said to him when I saw the tracksuit bottoms. So I wasn't feeling confident. Because what I want, minimum...
Was confident his name.
No. Aye. What I want, minimum, Gareth,
Right.
is some sort of nomenclature on the polo shirt.
Oh, right.
I want to see a
Branding.
business. I love a polo shirt with a name on it. You
Yeah.
know? I live for that. So he came in, and do you know what he said? I'll tell you what he looked like, actually, guys. He looked a bit with the tracksuit bottom, nothing in his hands... the cap. He looked like he might have just been drinking WKD in the park with his friends. And he said, that's loud.
Yeah.
It's not a great start.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
My electrician... he's not my electrician, I should say. He's a man that turned up to deal with my doorbell, which wouldn't stop, and my burglar alarm, which was going off, and flickering lights. All of this permanently. It was like some Disney ride, horror ride.
Awful.
So Tracksuit Man is standing there. He said, that's loud.
Tracksuit Man is also the electrician for
Yes.
anybody that's just joining.
Is he, though?
He was wearing a tracksuit with frayed bottoms.
His verdict was, that's loud.
Sorry.
And I said, yeah, that's why I called you out. Can you have a look at it? He said, all right. And then he sort of, there's no sense of urgency.
Oh.
Had a small puffer coat, took it off, said, oh, it's nice round here. He said, did you, I like your walls, did you do that? I said, I think we've got this screaming, this burglar alarm.
Case in the joint.
And
Yeah.
He was making small talk.
Nice telly.
Yeah, where'd you keep your valuables? That's why he wears the tracksuit bottoms, for running away.
I hadn't invited him round for pleasantries. There were people gathered in the street because of the level of noise. It was so loud. I said, you need to fix this. You can sense there was... Gareth looked at me as if to say, I'm starting to sympathise with Tracksuit Man. I pointed him towards the cupboard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having to apologise to my neighbours. There's people outside. I mean, things are hotting up a bit.
It's the cupboard where the fuse box was.
That's
Yes.
where she liked him.
I didn't just shove him in the cupboard.
Him in there for not working.
I shoved him in the cupboard. He said hello to all the other men in there. He goes in there, and then I hear him say, "That's really bad."
Uh-oh.
I don't want a review.
Although
I
he's
want you
seen
to
a lot of
fix it.
bad.
Sounds expensive.
I don't want to hear about your years in prison, which I've no doubt. Then he comes out. This noise is still going on. He says, "I don't do alarms."
What?
I said, "I beg your pardon." He said, "I do smoke alarms."
Oh, we all do smoke alarms.
Yeah.
I said,
Even
"Well,
I do smoke alarms.
well,
Yeah, they're really easy.
Take the
Just
back
when
pull
you
it
say
out.
do a smoke alarm, we don't. Absolute Radio does not endorse or advise doing this, but in an absolute, as it were, emergency, I mean, I do smoke alarms.
Yeah.
So he said, "Well, I do smoke alarms." I said, "What? You only do smoke alarms?" It was getting nasty at this stage. I was angry. I was agitated.
Also, you were shouting because you have to be heard above a burglar alarm,
Yes.
or a doorbell, rather.
I said, "Is there anything you can do about turning off my burglar alarm, my doorbell, and my flickering lights?" He said, "No. No." He said, "I'll tell you what, I'll talk to them about not charging you for the work."
This guy's an idiot. I hate him.
What work? Driving out in
For the
Flintstonian
non-work.
tracksuit bottoms.
Turning up like Daley Thompson. And,
Also, I'm nervous about saying this even, but I've got an issue with tracksuit bottoms.
oh.
I feel like, you know how in Elizabethan times people would wear a codpiece
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was made to draw attention to yourself?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about tracksuit bottoms. Is this out of order?
Taking a historical angle
I
to
feel
the
like-
Sports Direct favourites there.
I just feel like things are on show in tracksuit bottoms.
Okay, okay.
No,
All out of
I think
drink.
you're
Maybe
right.
I shouldn't be looking, but
Is the tracksuit
Am I
Can't
wrong?
help it, can you? It's like the Mona
No.
Lisa.
It's very much not like the Mona Lisa. It's the
Follows you around the room.
tracksuit. It's the oh my God! Is the tracksuit bottom the new codpiece? Text in on 81215.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
So, do you want to know how it all ended with the electrician?
I would like to, and I'd also like to...
I didn't date an electrician, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just the end of a relationship
tuned in.
story.
I'm
He
not sure
drove
because
off.
I think anything you say could be used in evidence in court.
Well,
Is he okay?
he drove off, not in a van, in a sort of Nissan Micra, no ladder.
I'm not sure he was an electrician, Ali. I'm
Something
sorry to
odd. I
burst
think
your
I got
bubble.
a wrong number, and he thought I may as well. Not doing
Yeah.
much. It's a while. It's a
You have
while
to not
till.
just buzz any man in.
Well, oh, now you
If you've
tell
taught
me.
me anything in life, Emily.
So, he went to drive off, but you know what was odd? I said something as if he was. It was like a relationship was ending. I said, "I think you better go," with a slight catch in my voice. There was about 7% too much emotion. I cared too much. And he was a bit friendly. He said, "All right, see you." Like he'd come around for a coffee.
Yeah.
It was a very traumatic encounter. The noise is still going on. Eventually, I called in the big boys. Lovely man.
The army.
No. Lovely man called John.
Shout out to
He's-
John.
He turned up. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention plumbers' businesses here, but
Right.
they
So
sound
you
like...
called a plumber for a...
Well, the name of the company has plumbers in it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Probably
Okay?
Pimlico, isn't it?
Yes, it
Pimlico.
is. It's called Pimlico Plumbers, but he turned up, John, and he was dressed how I like my electricians to be dressed. He had a lovely polo shirt with a logo on it.
Right.
And a full face mask.
It's not that bad in my flat. Coverings for his feet, a van with a ladder on it.
Coverings for his feet.
Yeah.
Shoes.
She likes her staff to be shod.
Was the other guy barefoot?
Like the Hulk. Was it the Incredible Hulk that turned up?
Yeah.
It was Dr. David Banner.
That's why his hems were frayed, because he had nothing protecting them from the bottom.
Oh, you're right. Well, I did eventually. John did an amazing job.
And he's a plumber.
No,
Mind
the
blowing.
company, Pimlico, do all sorts of
do
things.
they?
Very professional.
Oh,
Although
I didn't know
I've
that.
now raised the bar too high on the service front.
Right.
Because I don't know what you're meant to... Can I say, if there are any electricians or plumbers listening, what do you expect? Text in 81215. What do you expect?
I think you might have to be more specific.
Okay, on
They
the
might,
beverage and
answer.
refreshment front.
Oh,
Right.
I'd like to know what you think, Al.
well, I think they should be happy with a tea or a coffee. We don't really have many biscuits in our house unless we know that we've got builders or something coming, and then we will buy biscuits.
A bit patronising.
Begrudgingly.
Gareth likes that.
But
I think you should try and get them onto some sort of more protein-based snack.
yeah.
You know,
I think the,
get them to try some nuts or
well, I
some,
think-
Like that.
maybe
Do you
a
want a
shake.
cup of tea and maybe 7 boiled eggs and a couple of chicken breasts?
I think the building
I think
game
you need
is
to get the
evolving.
builders paleo.
I think the builders are evolving. We did once, we used a window fitter a year or so ago, and one of them described himself as, he only ever accepted tea from me. And I said, are you sure you don't want a coffee? And he went, I'm something of a coffee snob. And he'd brought posh coffee in his own flat.
Well, I heard one of my electricians, he brought his mate with him, he said, he told me a story. I mean, he seemed traumatised by it. He said, you know, I won't believe what they did, these people I went to. He said, they made themselves a coffee with an espresso. Me, they made me an instant.
I'd be all right with that, me personally.
I think that's out of order.
If I ever
I
come
do.
to any of your properties, feel free to make me an instant whilst you make yourself a posh coffee.
Did
I
you
don't
say
care.
any of my properties? I'm not Frank Skinner.
No, I was saying it to everybody in the room.
I just own the one.
196 has texted in. He said kettle boiled and ready every 30 minutes to an hour. That's what he
Keep
expects.
it closer to 30.
Does he wear frayed tracksuit bottoms? We need to know. I think we've got to go. I've got the fez here.
Okay.
Okay. So do I need to go now? Okay, we'll see you later. I don't have anything to get out.
After a song in the news.
Okay.
Just sounds like you're going for good.
Yeah.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is the Frank Skinner Show, by the way. Frank's not here this morning. Sorry. We miss him. I am with the very marvellous Alan Cockrell, though. Oh, I can't find your jingle.
Don't worry.
Sorry. Alan actually looked slightly pained when I played that. You know how you look at a partner when they tell the same joke 50
I
times?
occasionally meet people and they say, do you do Kung Fu or something? Because they play like Kung Fu fighting on the radio. Anyway.
We need to do Gareth's as well. And the very marvellous Gareth Richards. Oh, I didn't think
This is absolutely perfect.
That's all right.
This is me.
Yeah.
This is the sound of my inner world.
Yeah.
I do apologise. The producer
What's wrong with
actually
that?
put her hands on the fader as if to say, we've had enough of that.
No, I can provide my own jingle, Emily. Would you like me to?
Sure.
Saturday morning!
I remember
That's what
that.
I used to do on the show, Adam.
That's a thing.
I
Yeah,
liked
I've heard
it.
you do that when
Really?
we've worked together
Oh,
here. Yeah.
Okay. When the producer
Give
put
the people what they want.
Exactly.
that, it turns out, when the producer put her hands on the fader, she did it in a... I mean, I wouldn't say she was angry, but I think if hands could speak, her fingertips would have been saying, I think we've had enough of that.
She sort of shepherded you out of the way with her shoulder and back, which makes me think she'd probably be quite a good footballer.
Rugby
You know
player, I thought, the way she went for the legs and pushed over with the shoulder.
That's rather rude. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when I was in a car with a friend's very posh mum, and the song Sexy Eyes by Dr. Hook came on, and she said, I think we've heard enough of that, and turned it off. We've been talking about a lot on the show this morning. I say a lot. We've predominantly been talking about my wiring going wrong. And
the cavalcade of characters that have been coming through your door to deal with them.
And I finally...
Some guy in sawn off tracksuit bottoms, like that scene when Rocky's chasing a chicken around. That's what I'm picturing.
That was traumatic for you, Cockerell.
What?
Wasn't it?
The Rockies.
Watching the chicken being chased around. You have recurring nightmares about that.
Yeah, I have nightmares about that one where he runs up all those stairs as well. I think, oh, my knees.
Well, but I was talking, I did eventually get teamed up with a wonderful man, purely professional purposes. His name's John, he's with Pimlico, and I adore him. He's been in my house all week. But I have had...
Can't escape, pull that.
I will let him go eventually.
It's in that cupboard.
The problem is, I was saying to Al, I don't know, I've set the bar. I think I might have set it too high on the beverage front, and I'm keen to know from any plumbers or electricians or men or women about the house what they think.
Well, you've lit up the switchboard with this question of what should we give. I'm going to say it, the staff. What should we give the hired help to...
Yes. Well, was Emily going to tell us what she gave him first?
Oh, okay.
You sure?
And then we can see how it goes against whether it can be like Family Fortune.
It's going to make everybody else's offering look bad.
Our survey said...
Well, initially I started with tea.
Right. So one tea.
One tea. And then I said, do you fancy some lunch, John?
You never.
Lunch?
Is that not normal? I thought I needed to make it.
This party is catered.
He said, yeah, that'd be nice. He's a very unassuming chap. Not remotely demanding. Very polite.
No one is at the start. Give it to the end of the week.
Not message for Madame Cockerell. I said... what sort of anything you like in a sandwich?
So this is what I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Imagine a beautifully laid table, candelabra, crystal, silverware.
And
all set out when John comes in.
His knee-pad trousers. At least he had the right kit on.
Emily in a silk kimono.
Him in the Pimlico Plumbers polo shirt. Anyway.
A bucket of ice.
What do you make?
I made him
I want to know.
ham and cheese sandwich.
Nice.
I cut it into 4. I thought
like
that was...
he's a child.
Yes, like he was a child.
Triangles or squares?
Triangles. Is that
Not
weird?
so bad. The squares would have been patronising, but
Is that
triangles
weird
is
for
a
the
thing,
plumber that I gave him? Why did I give him... I wanted him to be cared for. I gave him crisps. I worried that he might not like salt and vinegar, so I got him a choice of ready salted as well. And
nice.
Did you get crisps in, especially?
Yeah, I went to the shops to buy them. Is that over the top?
A touch.
I got him 3 choices of chocolate bar. I didn't know if he was a Twix or a Galaxy man.
Goodness me.
Wowzers.
He liked... I said, I had Cokes, but he said he liked Lucozade. So I went out and bought him a Lucozade.
What?
A Lucozade?
And...
Did he have a cold? That's medicine.
Yeah.
And then the bar started raising later in the week. I said, would you fancy a toasty? I thought I'd better mix it up. Because I don't...
Can't survive on cold food for the whole... It's time you introduce haute cuisine.
By Friday, it was full-on bacon butties. I was putting ketchup and mayonnaise on.
Excellent.
So, please tell us, what do our readers think?
We've got a lot of texts that go along the line of a copper is grand, a biscuit or two sometimes goes nice, that sort of thing. We've got that times, about 1,000. So you've definitely gone above and beyond the call of duty.
Have I?
738M said, what comes after S in the alphabet? Emily, can you answer that question? What comes after S in the alphabet?
Oh, are you clever little thing, T?
Yes, that'd be lovely, thank you.
Oh, I think that's my electrician. Do you think I've done too much, be honest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're hearing from electricians and plumbers this morning, and just what they like to eat and drink. Jimmy has tweeted and said, "This is what I usually get." #handyman. There's a Mars, a breakaway, 3 Twix, 2 Mars, a breakaway, and 2 rolls and a cup of tea.
It's a lot, isn't it?
I mean, it's making me feel guilty.
I once had an electrician that changed my life.
Oh,
wow.
I booked an electrician.
How many electricians does it take to change your life?
Very good. Genuinely, this guy, he was doing a rewire, and he would come in every day and moan about the wires in the house that needed a rewire. And he had two catchphrases. One of them was, "You've got a right menagerie of wires." That was one of his things. And the other one was, he said, "It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. All these wires." And I was thinking, you're an electrician. You can't possibly be surprised
He sounds like Terry Christian.
by the fact that your day includes wires. He moaned so much about wires, and eventually he did the work after a tete-a-tete with me. And it changed my life, because I realised, I don't want to be the sort of person that goes... I mean, I am miserable, but I don't moan about things that I should expect. So I try not to go, "Oh, God, I'm a comedian. Sometimes there's audiences," like ridiculous stuff. Like, "Oh, God, I had to catch a train to tell my jokes in Leicester." Of course you did. That's part of the gig.
Don't complain. I mean, that's what I love about John.
John the plumber.
Yeah, John the electrician. He loves wires.
Good.
And he
Glad
loves
to hear
wiring. Boys, do you know, we will return to this. Any
Sure.
plumbers and electricians, call me. I want to talk about the John Lewis ad. Have either of you seen it? Thoughts,
Yes.
please? Do you want to explain what it's, the narrative concept, in case anyone hasn't seen it?
Yes, there's a little girl with red hair, and she's got a friend who's a dragon. There's no explanation why she's got a friend who's a dragon. She's just got a friend who's a dragon.
Yeah.
And this dragon breathes fire.
Done it all.
And you know what? Very much as you were saying, Alan, that a key to a happy life is to not complain about things you should expect.
Yes.
This advert is all about that.
Right.
So this dragon breathes fire.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, there's downsides to
being able to breathe fire
in a domesticated situation, a built-up urban area.
Yeah, he's something of a fire hazard.
He's a fire hazard.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would have guessed that.
I mean, we should say I've watched it several times.
Big fan.
Well, he's called Excitable Edgar.
Yeah.
I was relieved, because I knew an excitable Edgar at university. He didn't breathe fire. He's a funny-looking chap, the John Lewis character. He's got a very low centre of gravity, is a kind way to put it.
Pear-shaped.
Yeah. He looks a bit like... The body shape is a bit elderly Maradona.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say he has a very forgiving friend, because essentially he is a dangerous arsonist.
I think he's an accidental arsonist, but also I think, it's... You're right. He's a dragon, and they are a health and safety nightmare.
But I actually think he's a sociopath.
Yikes.
But I empathised with that girl. I have to say, she loves him. It says a lot to me about having a friendship. I'll tell you why, Al. She loves him. She has a friend who she loves and adores and cherishes and wants around all the time, despite the fact that he continues to wreak havoc in social situations and humiliate her. I can't think which male friend it reminded me of. Love you, Frank. Miss you.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We are talking about Excitable Edgar.
Who's the star of this year's John Lewis Christmas advert.
Terrible teeth. Very gappy. I mean, I like a gap, but come on, mate.
Maybe they're trying to shift a few units of electric toothbrushes.
Yeah. A state of them, though.
They've smuggled in quite a lot of things that you can buy, I think.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, Christmas pudding at the end.
Well, spoiler alert.
Sorry, everyone.
Well, if you haven't seen it, I think the statute of limitations in which, that's passed, doesn't it? In which people can say spoiler alert, to be fair, for
Yes.
that ad. It's not long. 2.5 seconds.
Yes.
2.5 seconds, 2.5 minutes.
So if you haven't seen it, and also, spoiler alert, I mean, it's a very disappointing end twist to the
Yeah.
commercial. It's because he the problem he has is he's setting fire to things without accidentally.
Like tinsel and a Christmas tree and a pond and
He's
stuff like that.
Yeah,
He's a twisted fire starter.
As I say, health
And
and,
they
safety
should-
nightmare.
Oh, they should have used that music. They have Dan from Bastille
Oh,
singing
that's right.
REO Speedwagon's Can't Fight This Feeling Anymore. And the producer started dancing when I mentioned that. This is what the young do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the drunk. And it's...
Sometimes both.
It's nice to see both parts of the Venn diagram here.
Well, when Frank's off, they take advantage. They do. They have the late. No, they don't. I have to say, I didn't smell any alcohol in the studio this morning. What am I saying?
Well, it's either
Stop
get an
to
early
crank
night or get an early night or just carry on Friday night all the way through. Sometimes, isn't it? That's the thing.
Is that what you two did? Anyway, what were we talking about? The arsonist.
The song?
Oh, yeah. The other thing about the arsonist, he's very passive-aggressive. When he's discovered, we should say, just to recap, and he will kill again, FYI. He
You think he's killed?
Well, he's killed their joy. He's
Oh, right,
destructive. He waddles in.
Yes.
Someone's been at the mince pies, mate.
Yeah.
And he, first of all, what's his
Can't believe you're body shaming that dragon.
in his reign of terror?
There could be fat
Excuse
dragons
me.
listening to this, going, "This is my lived truth."
Excuse me, I've been called a fat dragon. In his reign of terror, how does the tragedy start? So firstly, he sets fire, he destroys the snowman.
Yeah, he melts the snowman.
Then he destroys the ice.
By the way, John Lewis have publicly apologised for the children who were upset that he's killed Olaf.
They haven't.
Yeah, they have.
Have they really?
Yes.
Okay.
Apparently, a lot of kids were like, "Oh, the dragon has burnt Olaf to death."
Right.
From Frozen.
May I say to those children, my dad died when I was 4. You can get over this. You can
Guys.
definitely get over this.
Guys.
Olaf thing.
So, if we're going to play desktop trumps, come on.
That's true. Don't mess with the big boys.
Frank Skinner,
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We're talking about the John Lewis ad and Edgar the Excitable.
And can I say, Emily is wildly projecting
Yes.
onto this relationship between a young girl and her dragon friend all of
right.
her previous relationships.
That does seem to be happening.
know.
Whilst we're
Describing a
discussing this,
It was, I've discussed it with my therapist, the John Lewis ad. She texted me and said, need to talk to you, re-JL ad.
whilst we're discussing this, can we just do a shout out and a hats off to @John Lewis on Twitter, who is not the John Lewis shop,
true.
who's like a computer science professor or something, who has to field 1 million tweets about the John Lewis advert every year and
Yes.
responds to some of them very amusingly.
Yes.
Really surprisingly funny for somebody who's a computer science professor, I thought. But
And he
fair
says
play
every
to
year
him.
things like, oh dear, it's that time
Yeah.
of year
He
again.
put something like, I didn't have anything to do today anyway.
My issue with Edgar the Excitable
Right.
is that I worry about the resolution. It is no resolution.
Yes.
What happened?
I thought you meant like the pixels on the advert. I was thinking they spent all that money, £7 million, and Emily can see a flaw on screen.
No, it wasn't that.
I do reckon it was £7 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Mainly in spare fire extinguishers, I think, for the crew.
7 million. You'd think they could have tidied up his teeth a bit in post.
Yeah,
With that
I
kind of
suppose
money.
some of that must have been in Christmas puddings from Waitrose for props.
Well, that's how it ends. We should say, so what happens
yeah.
is after his various incidents, she finds a way in which he can be useful. She turns his terrible affliction into a useful tool for the villagers. He breathes on the Christmas pudding.
Yeah.
I have
Which is tiny.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, he
Really
walks into
small
a
Christmas
room with
pudding.
about 25 people in it, and he gets out a Christmas pudding that, frankly, I consider to be enough for one. But hey,
I would say...
maybe there's a loaves and a fishes follow-up coming. I don't know.
I would say... Can I tell you about my issue with the resolution? Is
Yeah.
that it was a very unresolved ending to the story. He will kill again. You haven't sorted out the root cause of the problem. The dragon has impulse control issues.
Right.
He's avoidant about his affliction, and he will not take responsibility for his behaviour. He chooses to sulk after each rampage, and all you've done is applaud him for doing the thing that was causing your community great pain.
Is this what you meant about projecting?
Absolutely. See, Emily sees this. Emily sees this advert as a story of a man who has got more problems that, like, the thing that he's good at is not worth all of the collateral damage.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like this
We've all
is
had nights like that.
Emily projected. I saw this as trying to domesticate something that maybe should not be domesticated.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, causing... Because I feel like he is a juvenile dragon.
Oh, we think he's a young offender.
I think he's a young dragon.
He's a young offender.
Yeah.
Asbo, that's what I thought. Do you
And-
still get Asbos?
and-
8:15.
so.
And the truth is that he's going to grow.
8:15, I'm sorry.
He's going to grow, need to go and find a cave by himself, maybe a big pile of treasure to sit on.
Man
and
cave.
probably kidnap that woman
Yeah.
when she
That's
grows
true.
up.
Do you know, I was hating the dragon. Now you're making him sound like a real catch.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Have we heard from... This is the Frank Skinner Show, BTW.
Mm-hmm.
Not Weir of the Year,
But Frank
1998.
Frank is in absentia.
Oh, is that the new Anglo-Saxon Museum in
think so,
Rochdale?
yeah. We had an email earlier on that I'd like to bring your attention to. It's titled A Touch of Frost. Dear Frank et al. Et M. I suppose
Sorry,
that's
Gareth.
A. Sorry, Gareth. I hope this makes Alan's Friday night trawl, for I can bear this burden alone not a moment longer. I mean, when someone starts like that, you've got to give it some airtime, haven't you? I urgently need your help to tackle the scourge of winter that affects every British household at this time of year. I am, of course, referring to TV weather presenters' inability to warn us of a pending icy precipitation without using the phrase, a touch of frost. Like it's a technical meteorological term rather than a common phrase popularised by David Jason's 90s TV detective drama. I'm not unreasonable. Occasional limited usage is perfectly
I beg to
acceptable.
differ.
But please, not every time. And certainly not with a smug look that says this is a fancy weather boffin's term. Don't try this at home.
Who's
Can
this
I-
from? I like... Sorry.
Can I suggest serial offenders such as Carol Kirkwood try the following alternatives? Frost, frosty, some frost. Consigning a touch of frost, they then they go ATOF for that.
Yes.
To occasional guest appearances. Does this annoy anyone else, or do I just need to get a grip or stop watching the weather? Warmly yours, Jack Frost.
Warmly yours. I love
But I don't know
JF.
if that's a joke name. I think it's their real name.
Well,
Yeah,
although
because it says on the thing it's from Jack
Let's not
Frost.
read out their email address.
he
though.
was
No, I won't.
throwing... Jack Frost was throwing a bit of shade, Carol Kirkwood.
Bit of nightshade, yeah.
Well, I love a bit of CK.
Yes.
CK1.
But I can imagine how that would be annoying for this person. I have a similar thing at this point of year when people start talking about how many sleeps it is until Christmas. Every time I think, well, it's like if it's 28 nights till Christmas, they'll go, oh, it's 28 sleeps till
don't.
Christmas. And I always think, well, not for my father-in-law. He sleeps 3 times every television show that he's watching, so it's just not true.
Also,
It's not a scientific measurement.
well, exactly. It depends on your age, your state of health.
Yeah. Narcoleptic,
Can I tell you what
not
I-
narcoleptic.
Can I tell you what Oh, you're in a coma?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that
Insomniac.
man I was once set up on a date with, thanks Dad, who'd been in a coma for 12 years.
Yeah.
Um,
He missed a few Christmases, didn't he?
how many sleeps did he have till Christmas?
Woke up to all of his teenage clothing.
Well, he didn't.
One sleep till Christmas 2010. Said in the 90s.
Can I just say what I hate about Christmas?
Excellent.
8, 12, 15. What I loathe some things about Christmas. It's actually making me feel ill. I could feel the nausea surge up in my stomach as I don't think I can even say it. I'm going to get it out quickly. If it were done, it was best that I did it quickly.
To paraphrase Macbeth,
Thank
Lady
you.
Macbeth.
How dare you? That's what the electrician called me when he left. Oh my God! Oh, Al, I hate this so much. Okay, I'm going to do it very quickly. It's when people post pictures of a tree or anything and say it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Ah!
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Oh, it's that time. This is the Frank Skinner Show, by the way. Frank's not here. I miss him. I love him. But I'm with Gareth Richards, and I'm with the Cockerel.
Morning.
And you can text the show just the one morning. You can text the show on 81215. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or you can email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Gareth, it's lovely to have you here.
Yeah, it's so nice to be here.
And
This autumn day, leaves turning golden out the window in Golden Square.
You're doing the weather now.
Touch of frost.
I like that it went a bit country file audition.
Yes.
What's been going on with you, please?
I've met someone.
Have you?
Yeah.
Bit of drama.
It's,
Wowee. Things are hotting up round here.
I've got a new friend. Got a friend. It's
I
very
love
exciting.
it when you make a friend.
With a comedian friend.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a gig in Lancaster. It was
Sorry for your loss.
Very
Shout out to Lancaster.
very long drive up to Lancaster from Bournemouth. And
Yeah.
I was on the bill
Great Dutchie.
with a new young comedian called Andrew White.
Can we
Very good.
get some intel on him?
You're
Thank
going
you.
to Google it.
Okay.
He's 20 years old.
Uh-huh.
And he's been going since he was like 16, I think.
Sorry, what have you turned into the Miss World announcer? He's 20 years old.
Pirouette from Andrew White.
And it turns out he lives like 15 minutes away from me.
Okay.
So he's proper local.
I'd prefer that in miles, but anyway. It's like sleeps till Christmas all over again. But
Beginning to look a lot like Al.
I don't
So
know.
go
did
on.
you share Did you drive up to
Yeah, I
Lancaster
drove,
and back
shared the
together?
petrol, yeah.
Share the petrol money, nice.
Is that what comics do, FYI?
Some do, some don't. I tend not to take it.
Do you not get to an age
Well,
when
it's
you
all right
don't...
for some.
I sort of think of it
10-hour drive, Alan.
I always think of it as an expansive thing, like, don't worry about the petrol money. I'll get a lift off you one day. I'm never getting a lift off them in a bloody micro or whatever it is.
I like that Alan. I like that Alan thinks that's Simon Cowell.
Yeah.
I've got this.
Yeah.
I'll take care of the
Pay
petrol
it
money.
forward.
Yeah. So what's happened with Andrew White? I mean, is this friendship special to you? I don't. Is this?
Well, yes, we had a very long. Well, we got to know each other very well on the way up.
Yeah, it's a long journey.
That's how it works, and then there's the way down again afterwards.
Okay.
It became a metaphor for my career for a moment. Then
And he's
it was
he's
fun on the way
20.
up. On the way down, seemed longer.
I like the way Alan laughed at that, and the way only a fellow comic can laugh at that. He's 20 years old. That's quite an age gap, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's and it's daunting in a way as you get older. I mean, you wouldn't know, Emily.
No.
But with people with an age gap, you think, well, will we have anything in common? We've done the first episode of a podcast.
You listen to a podcast
No,
together?
we made one,
Oh, I see.
right?
Oh, you're working together now.
Yeah,
He's your
because we were
collaborator.
like, I want someone to do a podcast with, and he lives just nearby.
This is
Excellent.
lovely.
So,
and what's the podcast theme?
It's called 20 Years Apart. I mean, we might
Lovely.
never put it out.
Oh, really? It's not been done yet?
Well, we did the first episode, but,
I thought this was the launch.
I thought this was the hot launch.
I
thought this was the premiere.
I always have a breakdown after I start a project.
So tell me... wow. Glad you're not my electrician. So tell me, what do you like about him? I'm holding the fez.
Well,
so
I can
what
tell
I'd like you to
I
do...
can tell you that already. He lives 15 minutes drive away.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Gareth was telling us earlier, this is the Frank Skinner Show, by the way. I'm with Gareth Richards, I'm with Alan Cochrane. I love them both.
Gareth was telling us about 10 hours with a 20-year-old. It's not what it sounds like. Yeah, it's a new friend. It's a new friend. Do you give out sage advice as the sort of elder of the car?
I won't shut up about it.
I think that's very much the role that I would automatically take.
You have to be careful with the advice because you think, I've learned some things in my life.
Can the child drive? Can the child drive a car?
Drive.
Okay.
Don't patronise his
Don't be
friend.
patronising.
I will be. He's giving him 10 hours of sage advice when I were a lad.
You have to be careful, don't you, when you get older, is what I'm realising.
Do you?
Just banging on about telling people how to live their lives.
Yes.
Oh, I thought they wanted that.
No.
Although I
Never
have friendships with the young creatures on the show, Faye and Sarah. I get on very well with them. But
again, we give them sage advice. That's why
We're
helping them with their young lives.
Thing is, if you feed them, they never leave you alone. That's what you have to learn.
Right?
Yeah.
So, do you think you see this friendship running and running?
Well, so first day we're going to meet up to do the podcast. So when we're going to meet, he said, I'm free from 2:30. And I'm like, oh, great, that'd be great. See you then. So can you sense that I've made a mistake there?
Yeah.
Because, and I'm a little bit all over the place at the moment in my little brain, but I assumed I'm free from 2:30 meant that we were meeting at 2.
Alan, over to
2?
our...
No,
Alan?
2:30. Sorry.
2:30, right.
I've been an idiot even saying that. Yes,
Yeah,
I thought we were meeting at 2.
I would take.
I thought he was
2:30.
coming to my house at 2:30. Yes, sorry,
2:30.
I keep saying 2. Like an
Really
absolute...
confusing. It's quite an
I'm having
important
a-
bit of this
I think
conversation.
I'm having a stroke.
Can I be honest? It's making me think you're lying about the entire story.
Yeah.
Get your story straight.
Okay.
This feels like,
I've got
those
no
police
friends.
procedural things when they say, no comment.
I've got an imaginary 20-year-old friend.
Haven't we all,
Who I
dear?
call Andrew.
Haven't we all, dear?
He
So,
let the slide down.
He didn't come over at 2:30, did he?
Alan,
He did not arrive at 2:30, no.
what time did he arrive?
I had been from
Let's go for 7
from
PM.
12:30. I started cleaning the house
Weird, because
from top to the
20-year-olds
bottom.
don't care.
I know,
if
but
the
how
house
do
is
I know?
clean.
He could arrive, and I know he
Yeah.
probably lives in squalor. But
No, they do, because they
very
have
likely.
pastel walls and cactus.
No, but
Cacti
he lives
now?
with his parents, and his parents might be tidy.
Oh.
And he could be like, well, a little girl, a friend of my son's came round the other day, Emily, and she said,
now they're friends.
She said to me, why don't you tidy your house?
Ouch. Oh, Joan Rivers, Lil Joan Rivers.
Why don't you get out?
So, what time did he turn up, please?
I think at so I was expecting him at 2:30. I think at 3:15 he sent me a text saying I'm on my way.
Oh my God.
Sounds like me. I think that's perfectly normal.
If this was me, this friendship's over.
Is it?
Yeah.
And well, the thing is, there's part of me, but then I was like, he's from a different generation to me.
Yeah.
We have to take.
And
we
he's
have
the
to
only
be,
comedian that
he's
lives
the only,
15
he lives
minutes away
15
from me.
minutes away from me. What other
Gotta be
friends have
forgiving
I
at the
got?
start of this.
And I was like, when he arrived, I was like, this is a funny anecdote for the start of about different generations, isn't it? I mean, you're going to think this is funny. But when you said you were free from 2:30, I thought you were going to arrive at 2:30, but no, you haven't. And it was a very funny start. It was very funny.
And then was it okay?
It's fine, yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, no, yeah, sorry, no, I meant...
I didn't cry on the walls or anything like... He's 20 and I should stop.
I don't think he heard. He was on his phone.
Of course he was, playing Candy Crush. The good thing is...
No, he wasn't. He's very
The
lovely.
good thing
young
is...
man.
he'll never know.
Yeah.
Wait, don't listen to this.
I've really gone off him.
Frank Skinner,
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking... Have we had from the outside world, by the way, chaps?
We have 285 said, hi, it's Paul, the washing machine, cooker, kettle, microwave, dishwasher, hoover repairman, if you have any issues with the above appliances.
Oh, I thought you meant it was the tracksuit, the man who turned up at my house with the tracksuit.
No, not that guy, I don't think.
Is he suggesting I call him?
Yes,
Okay.
he says, if so, I'll be around for my dinner at about 12:30.
Oh.
Ploughman's pickle on my sandwich, please.
Oh, I don't offer pickle.
Well, you've
No
accidentally started a tradespeople discussing what they like to eat and drink text in. 984, Jason from Wanstead.
Hello, Jason.
I'm a plumber. Please don't offer me soya milk in my tea because your prices will double. I do feel like there is now a stigma against the actual cow's milk drinker.
So do I.
There was a few times at the Edinburgh Festival I was offered oat milk, soy milk, but not animal milk.
I know, you've got to have
As if
normal
I'm a
milk.
monster.
Well, although John, my lecky, he doesn't like...
Spark.
Yeah, my
Sparky
Spark.
John.
Sparky John doesn't like... He said, do you know, I was around at the house the other day, I was offered full-fat milk. Couldn't believe it.
Oh, that's what he'd be getting offered at my house. Well, he'd be getting offered raw milk at my
They
house.
specify sometimes. He brought his apprentice with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like liars. I don't like con men. That's what Alan Sugar says. He wasn't like that. He brought his apprentice with him, and his apprentice, I said, oh, do you want a soft drink? A Coke? He went, Coke Zero.
Oh,
They're very precise now.
aren't they?
They don't just do coffee, they want cappuccino.
878 is a tradesperson after my own heart. A coffee is wonderful, but more than anything, we'd like to just be left alone.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
I've actually got that written in,
Like Greta Garbo.
in a really nice font on every wall of my house.
You've got it tattooed
Yeah.
just above your heart.
You've got to have something to live by, haven't you? I'd like to return to Gareth's 20-year-old pal now.
Bet you would.
Right.
I was once asked, did I have any advice for a 20-year-old? And I thought about it, and I said, look after your posterior chain.
Oh.
The muscles at all the back of the body,
Oh,
they're
right.
really important.
I didn't know what that was.
Do you know what I thought it was? I thought
I
it was
knew
a
what
strange...
you thought it was.
I thought it was a sort of strange garment Kim Kardashian perhaps wore,
Yeah.
the posterior
No.
chain. Could you explain, please?
I
Thank
think
you.
everybody needs to learn to hip hinge, which I learned late in life after a back problem, and hip hinging is really useful, and looking after your posterior chain will all fall into place there. You don't want a bad back. Tell people when they're 20, and then they might be okay when they're 40, rather than seeing a chiro or an osteo or a
Yes.
whatever.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yours. So maybe you could say that
Sage
to
advice
Andrew.
from the cockerel there.
Yeah, maybe you could
Yeah,
say...
that doesn't make you sound like an old man at all.
Suspect it does.
Start doing back exercises now. You'll thank me later. I mean,
I
Just
would
hip
have...
hinging, it's really useful.
no one is ever going to do that.
Well, if I was going to give... if I was going to give the young advice, you know, when people say... I think I would say, rule 1, don't overpluck your eyebrows.
That was my second one.
Rule 2, never trust a man with 2 mobiles.
Oh, yeah.
Good
Number
advice.
3, if a dragon knocks on your door wanting to be friends, don't be.
Yeah.
Okay. What advice have you given him then?
Don't go into strange men's houses.
Oh dear, it's all taking a rather dark turning.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
What's happening, boys?
Well,
I didn't mean to sound quite so odd then. I do apologise.
Sir Rod Stewart has been in the news this week because he's finally unveiled his model railway. I don't know if you're aware that Rod Stewart is a keen model railway enthusiast. I'm not sure he is. I think he's a very popular man.
I played that by mistake. I
Oh,
didn't.
okay.
I didn't. But I want to say I actually love this story, and
It's
I
good,
love
isn't it?
Rod, and I love that he's made the model railway. I was being cruel.
Well,
I was having jokes.
I mean, a little-known fact that may have passed you by is that he did an interview with the BBC in 2013 where they wanted to see the model railway, and he said, no, some things are private. Which I enjoyed. But then apparently it's made the news because he allowed the, whatever magazine it was to... It's a
Railway Modeller
Railway
magazine.
Modeller magazine.
One of my favourites. I bet Frank subscribes.
And Jeremy Vine, BBC Two's Jeremy Vine, who's also kind of a friend of the show and a fan of the show,
Adore Jezza.
he started speculating that Rod Stewart hadn't done all of this stuff. And Rod Stewart went on in a kind of a defensive interview saying, I did actually. Thank you very much.
We live in a cynical age.
Yeah. When people like Vine are the cynics.
Vine's like, I don't think he really
Can
built
I just
that
say-
model railway.
Jezza, I thought had quite reasonably suggested he can't have built it all himself, because I would have made that assumption. He's Rod Stewart. He's got a lot on. He's ordering leopard print leggings from ASOS.
That sort of stuff.
Size M. I think he's a medium.
Do you think?
100.
You think he's
That's how much they cost.
Oh, okay. Not bad. Might
I
get
would have
there.
made the same assumption, Jeremy, if you're listening. Rod Stewart, then decided to call in.
He did.
Can you imagine if we had that? Put yourself in Jezza's shoes.
Yeah.
That is
big.
basic. That's big. I mean, imagine
Yeah.
if we had, Frank, Dame Judy's online too.
Oh, yeah. She says she didn't give you a death stare that time outside the Ivy.
Richard Hammond, online
Oh,
7,
yeah.
Frank. And there's a Komodo dragon in reception. We'd never stop. That's all. We'd be working in a call centre if we had to
Yeah.
deal with people we'd said controversial things about. Jezza handled it fabulously. And did you hear the interview?
I didn't hear the interview, but I
did.
did read some quotes from it.
Rod said, "My wife called and she said they're insinuating you didn't build it all yourself." Does that not sound like Rod's?
Bob Hoskins
good.
playing Rod Stewart.
It's buried next to my mother, FYI. Lovely.
Is that right? That's nice.
I'll keep it light now.
Yeah.
He said, what I love, when I heard the interview, was Rod said to Jezza, he said, well, you know what they say, Jeremy? They say model railroads are never finished.
Oh, yeah.
Do they say that? I mean, as popular proverbs go, is it up there with a stitch in time saves
Yes.
9?
Yeah. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
I'd like to hear that Rod Stewart song.
Model railroad.
Model railway is never finished.
I think that particular Rod Stewart song might have been covered by Satchmo.
Yeah.
But can I say, I want to praise Rod for this.
Oh, yeah.
Because better than playing video games, taking funny things with silly ladies or men, he's doing an innocent... Sounded a bit odd, yeah. He's doing a lot... I would say there's an element of meditation to it.
Yes.
It's focus.
Good.
There's
Yeah.
detail.
Oh, a lot of detail.
He's safe in his attic, where I like them.
And sometimes in a spare room, he gets a hotel with an extra room to do these bits of carpentry and modelling.
Yes.
It's a really positive little hobby he's got, isn't it?
I'm just surprised because I thought if he was going to have a hobby, it would be sailing.
Well, did you notice? The papers said, I am railing.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
No. But he also
I
said...
like, both. I like both jokes.
oh, no, I've upset Gareth now.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I'm going to have to... Oh, no, he's really upset.
I was shocked there weren't more people in the models because he's good at the faces. I'm here all day, ladies and gentlemen.
No, you said
Trying
ladies.
the jokes.
The Fez has arrived, but Gareth, I
He's
want
in
to...
a band called Faces.
Actually, he's telling a
to
young
explain
woman, and it's all getting a bit tragic.
You have to explain for the 20-year-olds.
I want to say I liked... Rod said, you know why I like Rod? Another
Money?
thing he said... How dare you? He said, I find beauty in what everyone else sees as ugly. He's a man for me.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're talking about Rod Stewart, and what I think is his rather marvellous little hobby. I won't patronise him. His he says railroad because it's actually a model of New York, isn't it, and Chicago?
It's like a 1940s American railway. I think he picked American because the trains are a bit bigger or something like that.
Oh.
And the
Taking him-
buildings, big buildings,
Yeah, he said that.
skyscrapers.
Taken
Yeah.
him 23 years.
Yeah.
He's done 19 tours during that
Has he
period
really?
it took to reconstruct the model. And
It's great.
I have to say that I like a celebrity who calls into a radio show.
Yes.
That doesn't mean I want anyone to call in
Yeah,
today.
don't bother.
But Simon Cowell, Frank, is it true that you said my hair looked like black shredded wheat? No, Simon, he would never say that, Frank. The thing is, though, you know, he said it's very noisy. You know, he has actual sound effects on the train.
Yeah, it's like a soundscape thing going on.
He's got people talking. He's got bird
Brilliant.
song.
Well, he did say that he's done it all himself, apart from the wiring.
Oh,
that
I
he's
liked
not
it.
very good at.
Well,
Well, I've got a man
You've
for
got a
him.
man.
do you know what he said?
Afraid tracksuit bottoms.
He said,
That's why he was in a rush.
This is a bit I really liked,
Yeah.
was he said, the only thing I wasn't very good at, and still am not, is the electricals. And,
Electrical.
but I also like the fact that he wasn't very good at it, and he still is not. Like, there's no improvement.
I wondered how he'd got his hair like that. That explains a lot, doesn't
Do you
it?
know what I call it? I call Rod's hair Coronation Street matriarch chic.
Meets
If I want
electricity.
gets 240 volts through them.
I used to live near a Rod Stewart lookalike, and I would
Oh,
see him
stop
just,
name dropping.
I
I'm
know.
sick of it.
just pop into the shops in South London with his Rod Stewart hair, but like tracksuit bottoms on. And I wonder if he's now got like a less good railway set since this has come out. Because
Yeah.
he might be thinking, if it's good enough for the real Rod,
Yes.
it's probably good enough as a hobby for me as well.
I thought it showed Rod in a marvellous light.
Me too.
I really did. I
It's
thought
good to have a hobby.
it's good to have a hobby. It keeps him on the straight and narrow. See what I mean?
I found out my
Straight
wife
and
has a
parallel.
hobby.
Straight and parallel. You find out your
I
what?
found out my wife has a hobby this
What's-
week, a
Uh-oh.
secret hobby.
Oh dear. She's been calling Misha's men again.
We were on a dog walk, and she said, have I told you my hobby that I do on dog walks? And I said, no, you have not. And
dear.
it turns out she sees how far she can walk with her eyes shut. On a dog walk in a field.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. Like, if she feels like the path becoming grass, she'll think, okay, and she'll start walking back onto the path. I'm not kidding. She's fantastic at it. I had a go. I could do about 3 steps. She can do half a mile, fully eyes shut.
I mean, it's a curious
Fair play.
talent.
Fair play.
This is extraordinary. She needs to audition for Mr. Magoo.
Fair play to her.
I think that's frightening.
It was
And
really
showing-
frightening. It
This
was
is
really
quite a
frightening to do it.
bombshell to end the news on. We will be back next week with further updates.
I think we
Yes.
should be, because
on Mrs. Cockrell and her and the curious case of her wandering around with her eyes shut.
Yes.
Coming up, we have which we look forward to immensely. It's been so lovely being with you this morning. Frank will be back next week. Thank you so much, Gareth.
Watch where you're going, people.
Thank you, Alan. And lots of love and good luck to your wife. Be seeing you.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.